This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Welcome back to the program. On this episode of Boomer Life, we're talking about retirement living with the folks from Revera Retirement Living. Lydia Miller is Regional Director of Sales for Revera, British Columbia. And Nicole Chandler comes to us today back to the program after a prolonged absence from Hollyburn House in West Vancouver. Nicole is the Lifestyle Coordinator. And we are joined now, as Lydia has once again put together another terrific panel, by Ann McKenzie. Ann is with Estate Property Services. Hi, Ann.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you so
could I
much.
shorten what you do to the word downsizer?
Sure.
Would you be offended by that?
Not at all.
Okay,
not at all, because that's what I do.
Okay, so tell
That's
us
right.
what you do and for whom.
Okay. We work with seniors who are contemplating a move to either an independent or an assisted living or a full care residence. We help them in all aspects of their move, from the time they've made the decision to make the move, which is the hardest part of any decision.
Sure.
To walk them through the different steps that they need to take. And we many times oversee all aspects of their move, and sometimes we just oversee some of the aspects of their move. And that might be organizing the actual move and orchestrating the downsize to help the client empty out their home once they've moved. So the number one decision is helping them decide what they're going to take with them.
Right, of course.
And then we quite often lay out a floor plan for them so that they can visually see how their furniture is going to fit into their new suite.
Right.
Then we pack them up, we move them, we unpack them, get them set up. At the end of the move, their beds are made, their clothes are hung, their kitchen set up, their bathroom set up, their pictures are hung, and all the boxes are removed from the suite, so that when they come in, once the move is complete, everything is ready for them. They just need to turn the key.
Nicole, when people come to you, you're at least at Hollyburn House, you're the most likely person we boomers would meet,
That's right.
making that kind of reconnaissance tour, finding out information before we have the big conversation with mom or dad or both. So we come and we talk to you, and you give us the facts and figures and a little bit of a background, maybe a bit of a walk around, and then we come back with mom or dad. And they're not in the least bit enthused about all of this. They're not exactly kicking and screaming, but they're not on their tiptoes either. So how soon, when you have that kind of, shall we say, reluctant parent or senior, how soon do you get Ann or other downsizers like her involved in the process? Because, Ann, you do this all the time. You talk to people, you know about the anxieties and the fears, and so do you, Nicole. So when do you include Ann in your conversations after that initial, so what's going on at Hollyburn conversation?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
If I know that is the big roadblock, if that's the biggest fear and concern, often I hear that, I don't even know where to start.
Right.
I just can't.
Go ahead.
I just I don't know where to start, and what in the world am I going to do? And I find when there's that overwhelmed sensation that they're feeling. Sure, they've got 60 years worth of living in that house, and what in the world? We're going from 3,000 square feet to 700 square feet. How can I do that?
Right.
And giving them that power and that tool of a company like Estate Property Services and Ann McKenzie, it really makes a huge difference. It gives them the confidence, and I think one of the biggest pieces is the sensitivity that's involved.
That's right.
Really understanding that it's not just a move. There's so much more to it. There's
Right.
the memories, the histories, the stories.
It's not just stuff.
It's not just stuff
That's
that's
right.
going to be thrown in a box and moved to another location. That there's a story behind every piece. I think that's so important, and folks like Ann really understand that.
And we've also noticed, I don't know if you have, Ann, but a seasonality
Yes.
where there is a bit of a jump in interest and inquiries, especially after a holiday.
That's right. That's right.
So now we're into we
Into
just
the
done.
fall.
That's right. We
Into
just
the
got
fall.
Thanksgiving now.
Right.
We've got Christmas and all of that coming up, and so tell us about that. How major holiday events trigger some of this thinking and maybe even moving into
Right.
seniors' communities?
Well, once the children have visited the parents from out of province or out of town over a holiday, then they realize that the parents really do need to make this move. They may have been discussing it for a year, 18 months, and no decisions made. Usually, by the time we come on board, we're dealing with the client. We're dealing with the person who's moving.
Okay.
If there are children involved, we keep them in the loop of everything that we're doing. We walk them through how we're going to get from A to B, how we're going to get their parents moved. But basically, our client, if they're healthy mentally and physically, they are driving the project. So while we can give them all sorts of good advice on how we think they should handle this move, what we should take with them, they are the person who's making the final decisions. And if they want to take 10 little side tables, they're taking 10 little side tables,
Right,
and it
exactly.
may not fit, but we can give them the good advice that we have. But ultimately, they make the decisions.
And this, Lydia, is a point that you keep returning to every time you pop in for a visit here on Boomer Life. It's about treating that senior person
Right.
with respect. You don't push them into well, we think you need to be in a seniors community, Mom, so you're going.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's the easiest way to start World War III in my house, I can
Oh,
tell
absolutely.
you. It's
right.
not going to happen.
That's
So
right.
a little respect goes an awfully long way.
That's right. Many times when we're working with our clients, they want their children involved. But if they tell us directly that they're dealing with us, we're a third party, they're dealing with us, we respect their rights,
Sure.
and we deal just with them. If they want their children involved, and 95% of the time they do want their children
Of
who live in
course.
Ontario or Manitoba, they want them kept appraised of what's going on. So we send them emails and updates and let them know exactly what's happening, because they don't know us, and we're working with their parents in their parents' home, so there's a trust issue there.
Exactly.
And so, our client...
You're
and their-
going through their inheritance,
That's-
lady. You better be awfully careful.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so, we have to respect all parties in a project.
I actually met a lady who came into one of my communities and was chit-chatting, with a lifestyle consultant. And we asked who else will be helping you with this decision and doing the research. And she said, well, I've got kids, but they don't know I'm doing this.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. And she didn't want us to tell them either, because we always have emergency contacts, right?
Right.
But no, she said, they're against me moving. And I'm done, she says. I need more help. I recognize it.
Right.
My kids don't want me to move, so don't tell them.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Because most of the stories that I've heard, the shoe is on the other foot. The parent is the kids recognize kids. It's so much fun doing Boomer Life. I get to be a kid
You
every
are
show.
a kid,
I am a
Sterling.
kid, and
Gee.
as we kids, we are the ones who are making the decision. Going there's a safety issue, there's a fragility of health issue, et cetera, et cetera. She's alone and all that stuff, and so we're the ones making those sort of proactive
That's
decisions,
right.
and that's what we usually hear more often than the senior going, it's just time. Please step back. I'm going now.
That's right.
But it's their life, right?
That's
There's
right.
still
Absolutely.
a lot of stuff that's very private and confidential
That's
that they
right.
don't really want their kids to know about.
That's right. And
Like, do they need to know about my incontinence issues?
That's right. And every client we have has a different reason for making the move.
Right.
Sometimes it's a couple where the woman is just sick to death of cooking.
Sure.
She's had enough, or the gentleman just does not want to have the responsibility of keeping up the house any longer. Or we may have a single gal who is in the situation too. She's lonely. She's isolated in her
Yes.
condo, and she wants to have a more of a community lifestyle.
Right.
So. And then we have the single gentleman who his wife has looked after him all of his life. He doesn't know how to boil water, and she's passed away. And now he's faced with the decision of, what am I going to do next? And so for every client, there's a different reason why they make that move.
Okay, now Nicole and Lydia, I want you to comment on something that Ann told me and shared with us a few minutes before we went on the air with the program tonight. And Ann, your comparison on numbers
Yes.
with the American and Canadian approach to moving into seniors communities. Ann, tell us the numbers, and then Nicole and Lydia will comment on we Canadians, because we're a little behind the curve, as it turns out.
right.
Tell us why.
Well, when I first went into business, I did my due diligence and my research, and I found that Americans embrace senior living between 8 and 10 years earlier than Canadians do. We're a little bit slow on the uptake to make that decision that it's time to move. And so the average age of an American moving into an independent living situation is 75.
75, okay.
And in Canada, it's somewhere between 83 and 84.
Oh my!
And so so I tell my clients, if they're in the decision-making process and they haven't quite signed on the dotted line, and they have Hollyburn or Crofton Manor have suggested that they speak to us, we always say to our clients, don't miss that window of opportunity. You're healthy now. You can move into a senior's residence, live independently. It's like a 5-star hotel. You make all the decisions. There's lots of activities available for you, but you can cherry pick what you want to participate in.
Yeah.
That's right. And so make the move while you're healthy. Because, you know, who knows what may happen in 6 months or 6 years, but make the move when you can take advantage of everything that these seniors' residences have to offer.
And Lydia, that also speaks to something that you do, surveying your people year after year after year, and the one common denominator that keeps coming back in 97% of the times is people go, well, this is great, but, you know, truthfully, I just wished I'd moved here sooner.
That's right.
And that speaks exactly to the numbers you were just telling us, Ann.
That's right. And the issue for many of them is, I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do.
Sure.
And so when the marketing people say, well, you know, maybe you should call Estate Property Services and have a conversation with them, because it doesn't cost them anything to spend an hour with us.
Right.
And many times we can talk to the client and say, well, you know, these are your issues, and you may need us to help you, and we can help you in any way you want, but, you know, we can also give you some advice on who you should talk to.
Right.
And I don't want to get too political here, but what's your impression or opinion, shall we say, on government programs to keep seniors in their homes longer when they're being isolated, when they don't have, you know, any cognitive stimulation, where they can't get off the upper floor bedroom to get down to the kitchen for meals anymore, and they're basically, you know, isolated and a recluse now.
That's right. Well, you know, it's we do work with clients too who are housebound. I call them housebound because it takes a huge effort to get them out and into the community, unless they have a very active church group or family that will actually come in and be committed to coming and picking them up every week. We have one woman who we dealt with for a number of years, and she'd promised her power of attorney had promised her she could die in her home, and darn well she did. Well, she died in her home, but she was a very angry recluse the last when we dealt with her. But I just think it is a huge shame if she hadn't been encouraged to move in.
Nicole, what's your take on this? We need to take a break, but what's your take on this rather startling number that Ann's just popped up? We are really dragging our heels in Canada.
I have that example, though. I have a gal living in her home, in her bedroom for the last 2 years, and just recently moved to our care center. And family doesn't live here. They live out of town. A family friend came to me about her. She decided to make the move, and working with that downsizer was able to make the move. Not only make the move, but prepare the house for sale. But she was stuck in her bedroom.
Right.
She was stuck in her bedroom, and now she's coming to concerts. She's getting the care she needs. She wasn't receiving the care she needed in that home because she was limited to the amount of care she could receive.
Either.
Well,
nutrition,
that's right. They become dehydrated.
Yeah.
And then they don't think well. Right.
No, exactly. So it's huge.
It is indeed. Let's take a quick break here. Our guests from Revera Retirement Living, Lydia Miller and Nicole Chandler, and from Estate Property Services, Ann McKenzie. This is Boomer Life, and we'll be right back.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.